Emily hadn't spoken to her ex in nearly a year. The breakup had been messy: tears, threats, and a restraining order that barely held him back. She moved to a new house 2 towns over, changed her number, and even switched jobs just to get a clean break. Life was finally quiet again. She lived alone now, and most nights passed peacefully until one cold evening in late October. She was curled up on the couch watching a documentary when the motion-activated driveway light flicked on. The sudden burst of light through the front curtains startled her. At first, she dismissed it may be a raccoon or wind. Still, something in her gut urged her to check. Slowly, she walked over to the window and peeked through the blinds. A tall man stood completely still at the end of the driveway. His face was in shadow, but he was unmistakably staring at the house. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stood there, barely within the light's edge. She grabbed her phone to take a picture, but by the time the camera loaded, he was gone. Not walked away, gone. She replayed her security footage the next morning, hoping to ease her nerves. But when she opened the app, the screen showed only darkness. Confused, she checked the settings and that's when her heart dropped. The camera had been manually turned to face the wall. There was no footage. Someone had been close enough to touch it, close enough to know exactly where it was. That night, Emily didn't sleep. Jordan had finally felt like she was getting her life back together. After the long, suffocating relationship with Nate, she moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. It wasn't fancy, just 2 rooms and a creaky old staircase, but it was hers. A fresh start. She even changed her last name on the lease to keep her location private. Nate had been obsessive near the end, texting 30 times a night, showing up at her work, even following her home once. She never thought she'd have to fear the person she once loved. A few weeks into her new life, things started to feel normal again. She smiled more. She slept through the night. One afternoon, while checking her mailbox, an old tenant from upstairs made casual conversation. "So, your boyfriend finally moved in?" he asked with a smirk. Jordan blinked. "What do you mean?" The man pointed upward. "The guy in 3C. He's always talking about you. Heard him last night. He said your name in his sleep. Guess he misses you." Her mouth went dry. 3C? I thought that unit was still empty. The neighbor shrugged. "Must have moved in recently. I've seen him a couple of times. So tall guy. Always wears a hood. Doesn't talk much." Her stomach twisted. That matched Nate's description too well. She hadn't seen him in months, but the thought that he might have found her, that he could be above her, was too much. That night, she pushed a chair against her door and kept the lights on. The next morning, something thin and white was waiting beneath her door. A folded piece of notebook paper. Her hands trembled as she opened it. "You talk in your sleep too." "I missed that." There was no signature, no name, just her ex's handwriting. The apartment manager swore 3C was still vacant. When she insisted they check, they opened the unit to find it completely empty, dusty, no furniture. But on the windowsill was a used coffee cup, and on the wall across from the vent that faced her bedroom scratch marks, as if someone had been standing there for hours, quietly waiting. After Maya blocked her ex on every platform, she breathed a sigh of relief. The relationship had ended in a blur of gaslighting, manipulation, and emotional exhaustion. She had done everything right. Had changed her number, blocked all accounts, even warned mutual friends not to share any updates about her. It was over, or so she thought. A week later, she received a friend request on a new social media account she had just made. The profile photo was a blurry picture of her, taken from across the street as she walked out of her office building. She stared at the photo in disbelief. Her heart raced. The account had no name, no followers, no posts, just that single photo. She blocked it immediately and tried to shake it off as a coincidence. The next day, another request came, a different profile, again with no name and no friends. This time, the photo was clearer. Her at the grocery store, reaching for something on the top shelf. Her smile faltered. She never posted her location. No one should have known she was there. She checked with the store's staff to see if any security footage could be reviewed, but they brushed her off. Probably someone just playing games, they said. By the third request, Maya couldn't ignore it anymore. The photo showed her from inside her gym. It was unmistakably. She recognized the red mat, the corner where she did her stretches. But members weren't allowed to take photos there. This image was taken without her knowing, from a low angle, possibly from behind a water cooler or locker door. Her stomach flipped. She called the police, but without threats or physical harm. They couldn't do much. That night, she received one last message on a newly created account. "You can't block what's always near you." Her blood ran cold. She grabbed her coat and rushed out of her apartment, driving to a friend's place without even locking the door. The next day, a tech expert traced the IP address used to send the message. The signal hadn't come from a foreign country or a different city. It came from inside her apartment building, specifically from the shared laundry room in the basement. When she and the building manager unlocked the room, it was empty. But in the corner, tucked behind a shelf, was a folding chair and an old phone charger plugged into the wall. The kind they'd used to carry. Weeks had passed since the night Emily saw the man standing at the end of her driveway. After the police brushed it off as probably a loiterer and her camera mysteriously turned to face the wall, she tried to convince herself it was just some random creep. Not him, not her ex. She doubled her locks, installed new cameras, even got a big dog from a local rescue. Still, she never quite felt safe again. Every flicker of light outside, every creak of the floor, kept her on edge. One afternoon, after running errands, her phone battery was nearly dead. She rummaged through her kitchen drawers and found an old charger she hadn't seen in months. It was heavier than she remembered, but she was in a hurry. She plugged it in and connected her phone. Within seconds, the phone screen flickered. It grew warmer and then shut off completely. Confused, she unplugged it, thinking maybe it was just faulty. Later that night, a friend came over to check in on her. She mentioned the weird charger, and he offered to take a look. He worked in IT and knew his way around devices. He popped it open out of curiosity. What he found made Emily's blood run cold. "This isn't just a charger," he said slowly. "There's a mic in here. And a GPS transmitter. Someone was using this to track your location, and possibly listen in." Emily's knees gave out. She sat on the floor in shock, staring at the small, seemingly harmless device. That charger had been in her home for months. She'd used it before, which meant someone planted it while she was still living there. She thought back to all the times things had gone missing. Her shampoo being replaced too soon, a sock out of place, her dog barking at nothing at 3 a.m. It wasn't paranoia. It had been real all along. She didn't sleep that night. She didn't wait for morning, either. She packed a bag, left everything else behind, and drove 6 hours to stay with her sister in another state. She never told anyone where she went. No goodbyes, no forwarding address. She started over again. But sometimes, when her phone flickers or the dog growls at the window, she still wonders, so did he ever really stop looking?